In a quiet village where time seemed to stand still, there stood an ancient house wrapped in cobwebs and surrounded by a mysterious gloom. For centuries it stood in seclusion, as if it held a dark history longing to be released. One spring day, the Morgan family moved into the house. John and Elizabeth and their children, the young, active Daniel and the younger, always thoughtful Thomas. For years, the hustle and bustle of the city had squeezed their lives, and they decided they would rest in the peaceful surroundings of a country home. But it wasn't just them who dwelt in that house of dark legends. From the first days, the family began to notice strange phenomena. Shadows slid across the walls, ghostly moans sounded at night, and often strange objects appeared out of nowhere. Elizabeth, sensitive to her surroundings, was the first to sense that something was wrong in the house. She saw ghostly figures flickering in her peripheral vision, heard them whispering as if transported back in time. Horrified by the discovery, Elizabeth decided to contact the locals, and the mysterious history of the house began to unfold. It turned out that the old house had once belonged to a beautiful couple, Albert and Margaret. During their happy days, the house was filled with laughter, warmth, and joy. But one dark night, Marguerite was taken away by illness, leaving Albert alone in his grief. Grief and loneliness made Albert desperately search for a way to win back his beloved. He turned to dark rituals and black magic to bridge the divide between the world of the living and the world of the dead. But his greedy passions attracted dark forces, and in an attempt to win Marguerite back, he began to curse his home. With Marguerite's very death, strange and terrible events began to occur. The house, imbued with painful longing and grief, became the ghost of her husband, carrying revenge for his loss. Albert became a vengeful spirit roaming the halls and rooms, carrying out his dark intentions. The Morgan family is trapped between two worlds, the world of the living and the world of the dead. John and Elizabeth tried to unravel the mysteries of the past, while Daniel and Thomas explored the house, trying to find an explanation for the strange phenomena. Soon they had to do battle with the dark forces that inhabited the house. The Morgan family faced nightmares and visions that manifested secrets from the past. Albert vengefully chased them through the halls, sending ghostly servants to prevent them from uncovering the secrets. But the family did not give up. They searched for artifacts and spells that could break the curse of the house. The battle between the living and the dead continued to grow stronger and stronger. The house groaned under the blows of magic and fear. A real battle unfolded within its walls. Every corner of the house became the scene of a fierce battle, where the Morgan family fought for their lives and for freedom from the vengeful ghost's vengeance. Their strength of will and determination allowed them to peel back the layers of darkness and reveal Albert's true nature. They realized that his revenge was only a mask for his deep grief and despair. Under their care and compassion, Albert began to realize his mistakes and slowly freed himself from the power of the dark forces. The Morgan family found a way to break the curse and put Albert's soul to rest. By doing this, the house stopped shuddering with vengeance and pain, and the dark shadows gave way to light and joy. Despite their fears and trials, the family was able to defeat evil and restore the house to its former tranquility. The story of the Morgan family became a legend told by new generations of villagers. It was a reminder of the power of love and compassion to overcome the darkest secrets and bring light back into the darkest corners of the world. All who heard the story left the Morgan home with a sense of hope and confidence that even in the face of the worst trials, a path to true salvation and liberation could be found. The year was 1887, and the crew of the merchant ship Siren's Call embarked on a treacherous journey across the vast and unforgiving ocean. Captain Edward Sinclair, a seasoned seafarer with a reputation for bravery, led his crew with determination and unwavering resolve. Little did they know that their voyage would lead them to an encounter that would forever haunt their souls. The Siren's Call had already weathered several storms, its timbers groaning under the weight of turbulent waves. The crew was weary but resolute, their eyes trained on the distant horizon. One fateful night, as the moon cast an eerie glow upon the restless sea, the lookout spotted something that sent shivers down his spine. A ship, ghostly and spectral, drifting aimlessly in the night. "Ship ho!" the lookout cried, his voice carrying over the howling wind. Captain Sinclair rushed to the deck, his heart pounding. The crew gathered, their eyes widening as they beheld the ghastly sight before them. The ghost ship, tattered sails billowing in the wind, seemed to emanate an aura of death and despair. "Lower the lifeboats," Captain Sinclair ordered, his voice cutting through the chaos. "We must investigate." With grim determination, the crew maneuvered the lifeboats toward the ghost ship. As they drew closer, an eerie silence settled upon them. The creaking of the timbers and the lapping of waves were the only sounds that dared to break the stillness. The crew members boarded the ghost ship cautiously, their lanterns casting flickering shadows upon the desolate deck. What they discovered was a scene straight from their worst nightmares. The ship's masts were splintered, its rigging torn asunder. Bloodstains marred the wooden planks, and tattered remnants of clothing hung from ropes. It was a tableau of death frozen in time. The crew searched the ship, their hearts heavy with foreboding. In the captain's cabin, they found a journal, its pages yellowed with age. With trembling hands, Captain Sinclair began to read aloud the words of the ghost ship's final voyage. The ship had been plagued by disease, its crew members succumbing one by one to a mysterious and virulent ailment. Madness had gripped the survivors, and desperation had driven them to perform unspeakable acts. As Captain Sinclair read, a bone-chilling wind swept through the cabin, extinguishing the lanterns. The crew felt a presence, a malevolent force that seemed to coil around their very souls. Panic and fear overtook them, and they scrambled to leave the ghost ship. But the lifeboats had vanished, leaving them stranded on the cursed vessel. The nightmare had only just begun. Soon, the crew began to experience inexplicable phenomena. Phantom footsteps echoed in the corridors, and ghostly whispers carried on the wind. Shadows danced along the walls, taking on sinister forms. Crew members reported seeing apparitions, tormented souls trapped between life and death. Fear and paranoia spread like wildfire as they struggled to maintain their sanity in the face of the supernatural. Captain Sinclair, determined to free his crew from the clutches of the ghost ship, ordered them to perform a ritual of purification. They gathered on the deck, clutching makeshift weapons, and recited ancient incantations. But their efforts only seemed to anger the malevolent force that held them captive. A tempest of supernatural energy enveloped them, tearing the ship apart and sending them hurtling into a nightmarish void. In the void, the crew members were tormented by hallucinations and nightmarish visions. They saw their deepest fears and regrets come to life, taunting and tormenting them. Captain Sinclair, however, refused to succumb to the darkness. Drawing upon his inner strength, he confronted the spectral figure that had haunted them. The figure revealed itself to be the vengeful spirit of the ghost ship's captain, driven mad by guilt and despair. He had made a pact with dark forces to save his crew from the disease, but in doing so, he had doomed them to an eternity of suffering. Captain Sinclair offered the spirit forgiveness and redemption, promising to break the cycle of violence and set both their souls free. With a blinding flash of light, the crew was returned to the real world, standing on the decaying remnants of the ghost ship. The ship itself began to disintegrate, the curse broken by the crew's act of selflessness. As the ghost ship crumbled into the sea, the crew watched in awe and relief. The siren's call was miraculously restored, and the crew set sail once more. Though they carried the memories of their harrowing ordeal, they also carried a newfound sense of unity and strength. They had faced the darkest depths of the supernatural and emerged victorious, proving that even in the face of unspeakable evil, the human spirit could triumph. And so the legend of the haunted ghost ship and the crew who defied its curse lived on, a testament to the power of courage and the resilience of the human soul.